Every weekday morning in this country, millions of Canadians do the same thing before they leave the house. They press a pump, they warm a few drops on the back of a hand, and they spread foundation across the entire face. Forehead, cheeks, nose, jaw, down to the neck. Then they walk out the door and wear it for the next 10, 11, 12 hours. Through the commute, through the workday, through dinner, until it finally comes off at night. Mascara touches a few eyelashes. Lipstick touches the lips. But foundation is the one cosmetic that covers nearly your entire face and stays there all day, every day. And the brands that promise it will stay there the longest are the ones you need to look at the hardest. Because here's what nobody at the makeup counter is telling Canadians. In 2021, a University of Notre Dame study tested more than 200 cosmetics sold in the United States and Canada. 56% of the foundations and eye products had high levels of fluorine. Fluorine is the marker for PFAS, the forever chemicals. And the foundations with the highest levels were the ones marketed as long-lasting, wear-resistant, and waterproof. PFAS are called forever chemicals because they do not break down, in your body or in the environment. In March of 2025, the Government of Canada concluded that the entire class of PFAS, excluding fluoropolymers, is toxic under the Canadian Environmental Protection Act. Forever chemicals. On the long-wear product you apply to your whole face, for 12 hours a day, 7 brands exposed, 3 Canadian brands worth your money. And brand number 2? An independent lab found over 6,000 parts per million of fluorine in it. Don't skip ahead. This is the True North shelf, where the labels get read so the truth gets told. Let's dive in. Before the brands, 2 things every Canadian needs to understand about the foundation aisle. First, foundation is full face, all-day exposure. This is not detail makeup on a few eyelashes. This is a film spread across the largest surface of skin you put cosmetics on, worn for 10 to 12 hours, reapplied or layered the next morning before the last layer has fully come off. The Notre Dame researchers found the highest fluorine levels in exactly this category, long wear and waterproof, because PFAS are used for 2 reasons. They resist water, and they form a smooth, long-lasting film. The 2 things a long-wear foundation is sold on are the 2 things PFAS do best. Second, the label almost never tells you. In that same Notre Dame study, 29 of the highest fluorine products were tested further. They contained between 4 and 13 individual PFAS compounds each. Only one of them listed any PFAS on the label. And in Canada, as of the publication of this video, Health Canada's cosmetic ingredient hot list still does not list PFAS as a prohibited cosmetic ingredient category by name. A consultation opened in November of 2025 and closed in February of 2026. The decision is still pending. Forever chemicals, full-face daily wear, and a label that does not have to tell you. Keep all. And this one sets the bar for the entire category. Maybelline SuperStay. Owned by L'Oreal, the largest cosmetics company in the world. SuperStay is the best-selling long-wear foundation on Canadian drugstore shelves. Every Shoppers Drug Mart, every Walmart Canada, every London Drugs, every Jean Coutu and Pharmaprix in Quebec. The entire brand is built on one promise. The name is the promise. SuperStay. Up to 30 hours of wear, transfer-proof, full coverage that does not move. That is the exact language, long-lasting and wear-resistant, that the Notre Dame study flagged as the worst category for fluorine. Now, honest disclosure. The current published ingredient list for SuperStay does not list PTFE and does not list any perfluoro compound. Like most of the major brands, L'Oreal quietly reformulated the long-wear lines after the class actions of 2022. What holds the film together now is a silsasquioxane polymer and nylon 12. Synthetic, film-forming, but not PFAS. But the formula still carries ethylparaben, a preservative the European Cosmetics Regulation restricted in 2015 over endocrine disruption concerns. Health Canada has not restricted it. And the brand still sells you the exact promise, 30-hour transfer-proof wear, that defined the PFAS category in the first place. When a foundation is engineered to never come off your face all day, ask what it is made of to do that. Brand number one quietly changed the answer. The next brand is the one that got caught. And this one is the centerpiece, CoverGirl. The Outlast long-wear line and the TruBlend powder that sets it. Owned by Coty Incorporated, the American beauty conglomerate that also owns Sally Hansen, Rimmel, and a stable of licensed fragrance brands. CoverGirl is on every drugstore and grocery shelf in Canada. It is the brand a Canadian teenager buys for her first foundation. CoverGirl's marketing, for years, leaned on words like clean, sustainable, and safe. On the 25th of March, 2022, a class action lawsuit was filed in United States federal court against Coty and CoverGirl. The complaint centered on the CoverGirl TruBlend pressed powder. Independent laboratory testing, commissioned for the case, found 6,242 parts per million of organic fluorine in the product. 6,242 parts per million. Organic fluorine is the marker chemists use to detect PFAS. The complaint argued that level exposed consumers to forever chemicals at concentrations several orders of magnitude above what the United States Environmental Protection Agency considers safe in drinking water. On a powder marketed as sustainable and safe. On a powder Canadians press onto their full face. Now, the honest disclosure, and it matters, this is a class action allegation, not a conviction. A separate, related lawsuit alleging PFAS in CoverGirl mascara was dismissed by a court, but it was dismissed on a procedural technicality, for lack of specific detail, not because the chemistry was disproven. And Coty has marketed these products as safe and sustainable. But 6,242 parts per million of fluorine, found by an independent lab, on a full face powder sold to Canadian teenagers as clean, that is the number that should make you flip the tube over. It does not hide it. It is printed right on the label. Brand number 3 is L'Oreal Infallible. Let me be honest about something first. Infallible performs. The 32-hour Fresh Wear Liquid Foundation is genuinely one of the best-wearing drugstore foundations a Canadian can buy. It earns its reputation. Canadian beauty editors have recommended it for years. That part is not marketing. That part is true. But Infallible is a line, not a single product. And one of its best sellers, the Infallible 24-hour pressed powder, lists, on its own published ingredient list, an ingredient called C915 fluoroalcohol phosphate. Read that again, fluoroalcohol. It appears not once but twice in that ingredient list. It is a member of the PFAS family. And unlike the other brands on this list, who quietly reformulated, L'Oreal did not hide this one. It is printed in plain INCI on a powder sold at every Shoppers Drug Mart in this country in 2026. This is the exhibit. When this channel tells you to flip the tube and look for anything with the letters FLUORO in it, this is exactly what we mean. Not a lab test, not a lawsuit, the label itself. L'Oreal has not been cited by any Canadian regulator over this specific ingredient. Honest disclosure. Fluoroalcohol phosphate is not on Health Canada's prohibited hot list because, as we covered, PFAS as a category is not on that hot list by name. Yet. A foundation powder you press onto your full face, with a fluoro compound printed on the label, sold legally in Canada because the regulation has not caught up. That is the entire problem in a... 4 is Estée Lauder Double Wear. This is the premium one. The foundation that defined the entire long wear category. 24-hour staying power. The one a Canadian buys at the Hudson's Bay Beauty Counter or Sephora Canada when she wants the foundation that will not move through a wedding, a double shift, a Canadian summer. Estée Lauder is the corporate centerpiece of this story because the company itself has already conceded the fluoro problem in writing. On the 25th of March, 2022, the Estée Lauder companies, together with its subsidiaries MAC and Clinique, entered a legally binding, court-enforceable settlement with the Center for Environmental Health. In that settlement, Estée Lauder agreed that cosmetics like its foundations and concealers would not contain any intentionally added PFOA or other fluorinated ingredients known to degrade into PFOA. The Center for Environmental Health was authorized to enforce that through its own future testing. Think about what that means. A company does not sign a court-enforceable promise to remove a chemical from its foundations unless that chemical was a real concern in foundations. The settlement is the admission that the category had a problem. And this is the same Estée Lauder companies that, on the 13th of January 2026, pleaded guilty in an Ontario court to 2 violations of the Canadian Environmental Protection Act and was fined $750,000 in a case involving a PFAS silicone in its eyeliners. The company has maintained that its products are safe. The current double wear ingredient list does not show PTFE or perfluoro. It was reformulated. That is the honest disclosure. But the corporate pattern, a settlement on foundations, a conviction on eyeliners, is the reason this brand is the centerpiece. If this investigation is useful to you, do one thing right now. Subscribe, not later, now, and hit the like button. Here is the honest only shows this kind of reporting to Canadians when enough of you subscribe and engage. If you want more Canadians to know what is on the back of the tube, the single most powerful thing you can do is subscribe to this channel. The next 3 brands, you almost certainly have one of them in your makeup bag. Is MAC Studio Fix Fluid. And here is the thing most Canadians do not realize when they walk up to a MAC counter. MAC is owned by the Estée Lauder companies, the exact same corporate parent as brand number 4. Studio Fix Fluid is the professional-grade, full-coverage, long-wear foundation that MAC built its reputation on. Makeup artists use it. It is sold at every MAC counter, at Hudson's Bay, on Sephora Canada. 15 hours of matte, full-coverage wear. The current Studio Fix Fluid formula does not list PTFE or any perfluoro compound. Independent ingredient databases classify it as free of PFAS today. Honest disclosure, fully. It was covered by that same Center for Environmental Health settlement, the one that bound Estée Lauder, MAC, and Clinique together. Foundations and concealers, no PFOA. But that is exactly the point. You do not get to walk up to the Estée Lauder counter and the MAC counter and treat them as 2 separate clean choices. Same company, same settlement, same corporate pattern. You are not choosing between 2 brands. You are recommending one. And number 6 is Revlon ColorStay, the original drugstore long-wear icon. 24-hour wear before 24-hour wear was everywhere. Sold in every Walmart Canada and Shoppers Drug Mart for decades. The foundation a Canadian mother and her daughter have both probably worn. ColorStay does not use PTFE either. Honest disclosure. The long-wear film in ColorStay is built on methyl methacrylate cross-polymer and polymethyl methacrylate, plastic film formers, plus silica, plus fragrance. Plastic polymers are not PFAS, but they are synthetic film formers doing the same job, sealing pigment to your face for a full day. And the formula still hides its scent compounds under a single word: fragrance. Here is the corporate context. Revlon filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in June of 2022 and emerged in May of 2023 under the control of its creditors. A company moving through bankruptcy and creditor control is a company under maximum pressure to cut cost, including formulation cost, at the exact moment its transparency to consumers is at its lowest. A decades-old long-wear foundation, a plastic film sealed to your full face all day. Fragrance hidden under one word, made by a company that just came through bankruptcy. That is not a clean beauty story. Number 7 is Maybelline Fit Me, also owned by L'Oreal, the same parent as brand number 1. And this one is on the list for a different reason. Not the lab number, not the label, the marketing. Fit Me Matte and Poreless is the foundation that social media sells as the natural one. The clean girl base. The barely there, my skin but better, no makeup that a whole generation of Canadians believes is the gentle choice. Here is the actual ingredient list. cyclohexasiloxane, nylon 12, a synthetic film former, alcohol, octocrylene, methylparaben, the preservative restricted in the European Union in 2015, silica silylate, and scent compounds you will never see itemized, because in Canada, the word natural on a foundation has no legal definition at all. None. A manufacturer can print natural on the front of a synthetic, paraben-containing film-forming foundation and break no rule. That is the loophole this whole channel exists to close. Hypoallergenic means nothing legally. Natural means nothing legally. Clean means nothing legally. They are marketing words on the front of the tube, written to distract you from the ingredient list on the back. 7 brands. Read the back, not the front. 7 brands. Found fluorine in 56% of foundations. A class action alleging over 6,000 parts per million in a full-face powder. A fluoro compound printed in plain sight on a drugstore label. A court-enforceable settlement and a Canadian conviction in the same corporate family. And a Health Canada hot list that still does not name PFAS, with a decision still pending. That is the Canadian foundation aisle in 2026. But foundation is not complicated chemistry. It is pigment, an oil or water base, and something to hold it on the skin. The complexity is corporate, not chemical. Here are 3 Canadian brands. Elate Cosmetics. Made in Victoria, British Columbia. Founded by Melody Reynolds. Elate is a certified B Corporation and Leaping Bunny certified. Its Refresh foundation is a tinted, breathable base, sunflower oil, grapeseed oil, mica, zinc oxide, hyaluronic acid, around 75% organic, vegan. The full ingredient list is published, with nothing hidden under fragrance. It ships in a refillable glass bottle with a bamboo collar that you send back to be refilled, roughly 36 Canadian dollars. This is the West Coast Canadian brand that proves a foundation can hold to your face. Hero number 2, Fitglow Beauty. Founded in 2014 by Anna Buss, born out of her own struggle with rosacea, with roots in Kelowna, British Columbia. Honest disclosure first, because this channel always gives it to you straight. Fitglow's head office today sits in Florida, while the brand keeps its Canadian roots in BC. So it is Canadian founded and Canadian rooted, not Canadian headquartered. But its Vita Active foundation is the real thing, a makeup and skincare hybrid built on plant peptides, antioxidants, and vitamins, with a fully published ingredient list and no PFAS, no hidden fragrance. Around 52 Canadian dollars. For the Canadian who wants her foundation to treat her skin while 3. This one is for Canadians who want to keep their money entirely in Canada. Pure Anada. Founded by Candice Grenier in Morden, Manitoba. And here is what sets Pure Anada apart from every other brand in this video. They make everything themselves, in their own certified lab in Morden, Manitoba. No contract manufacturer, no imported formulation, no corporate parent 3 countries away. Their liquid foundation, around 25 Canadian dollars, is built on jojoba, castor, sea buckthorn, and argan oils. Paraben-free, full ingredient list, made by Canadians, in Canada, in a building you could drive to. 3 brands, 2 provinces. One of them controls its own lab. The simplest decisions on this list. Foundation should be one of the simplest things in any Canadian makeup bag. Pigment, a base, something to hold it to your skin. But somewhere between the laboratory and the shopper's Drug Mart shelf, certain brands found ways to complicate that. Forever chemicals to make it last all day. Plastic film formers to make it stay put. Fragrance hidden under one word. And marketing words, natural, clean, long wear, written on the front to keep you from reading the back. So here is how to check your own foundation. Over. Run your eye down the ingredient list and look for 4 things. Anything with the letters PTFE. Anything that starts with perfluoro. Anything that starts with polyfluoro. And anything at all, with the letters FLUORO in the middle of the word, like C915 fluoroalcohol phosphate, and then look for the word fragrance or parfum near the top. If you find any of them, you are wearing it on your whole face all day. Put it back. Buy Canadian. If this video helped you, do 3 things. Subscribe to the True North Shelf. Hit the like button. And the full source list, every study, every lawsuit, every ingredient list, is linked in the description below. This is the True North Shelf. Stay safe, stay educated. Thanks for watching.